Latest U.S. military hypersonic test fails. CNN: U.S. suffers a setback in the race with China and Russia to develop the hypersonic weapons when its latest test failed, the Pentagon said in a statement Thursday. The booster stock, which is the rocket used to accelerate the projectile to hypersonic speed, failed, and the test of the projectile, the hypersonic glide body, could not proceed, the statement said. Because the rocket failed, the Pentagon was not able to test the hypersonic glide body, which is the key component needed to develop the hypersonic weapon. Officials have started the review of the test, which took place Thursday at the Pacific Spaceport Complex in Kodiak, Alaska, to understand the cause of the booster failure. The experiment and test, both successful and unsuccessful, are the backbone of the developing highly complex, critical technologies at a tremendous speed, as the department is doing with hypersonic technologies, said LT CDR Tim Gordman, the Pentagon spokesman, in the statement. The Pentagon has made developing hypersonic weapons one of its top priorities, particularly as China and Russia are working to develop their own versions. The failure is another blow to the U.S. Apple following a failed test in April, and comes days after it was reported that China has successfully tested a hypersonic glide vehicle. Traveling at Mach 5 or faster, hypersonic weapons are difficult to detect, posing a challenge to missile defense systems. Hypersonic missiles can travel at a far lower trajectory than high-arcing ballistic missiles, which can be easily detectable. Hypersonics can also maneuver and evade missile defense systems. Report of successful Chinese and Russian tests. Over the weekend, the Financial Times reported that China has successfully tested the hypersonic glide vehicle capable of carrying a nuclear weapon. They reported the glide vehicle was launched from the orbiter bombardment system, though China denied the report, saying on the Monday that the test was instead a routine spacecraft experiment. Defense officials say they are particularly concerned about China developing hypersonic capabilities because they could enable Beijing to launch the attack over the South Pole, evading U.S. missile defenses, which are generally geared toward missiles coming over the North Pole. 2 weeks ago, Russia claimed that to have successfully tested the submarine launched the hypersonic missile for the first time, dubbed the Jae-In. Earlier this summer, Russia said it had fired the same missile from the warship. Nonetheless, the Pentagon insists it remains on track to deliver offensive hypersonic weapons in the early 2020. The timeline that seems more urgent with the advance in hypersonic technology shown up by the Russians and Chinese. This flight test is part of the ongoing series of flight tests as we continue to develop this technology, Gordman said. The failed test of a hypersonic glide body occurred after the Navy and Army earlier this week conducted a series of successful hypersonic measurement tests, highlighting the Pentagon's priority of rapidly researching and testing the weapon system. The three joint sounding tests were designed to collect data and carry out hypersonic experiments from DoD partners involved in developing the advanced weapons. These launches allow for frequent and regular flight testing opportunities to support the rapid maturation of offensive and defensive hypersonic technologies. the Navy said in a statement about the trials. Those tests carried out at NASA's Wallops flight facility on the eastern shore of Virginia provide the data for the development of the service's hypersonic weapons, including the Navy's conventional prompt strike and the Army's long-range hypersonic weapon. The US is focusing on the conventional hypersonic weapons that are based on the ship's land and air platforms. In April, the Air Force's hypersonic missile program suffered a setback when it failed to launch it from a B-52. Instead, the AGM-183A 183A air-launched rapid response weapon called ARRW remained on the aircraft.